女士们、先生们，请大家热烈欢迎中华人民共和国国务院副总理韩正、上海市委书记李强、国务院副总理胡春华和其他贵宾入场。Ladies and gentlemen, please give a round of warm applause to Vice Premier Han Zheng of the People's Republic of China, Party Secretary Li Qiang of the CPC Shanghai Municipal Committee, Vice Premier Hu Chunhua, and other distinguished guests as they enter the hall. (有请中华人民共和国国务院副总理、第3届中国国际进口博览会组委会主任胡春华主持开幕式。Now let's invite Vice Premier Hu Chunhua, Chairman of the Organizing Committee of the 3rd China International Import Expo, to moderate the opening ceremony. Please put on your earpiece for simultaneous interpretation.
尊敬的韩正副总理
Your Excellency Vice Premier
尊敬的李强书记
Your Excellency Secretary Li
尊敬的各国领导
Your
人
Excellencies Leaders
各
of
国
foreign
际组织
countries
负责
and
人
heads of international
尊敬
organizations
的各国
Your
使节
Excellencies diplomatic
各位嘉
envoys
宾女
Ladies
士
and
们
gentlemen
先生们
friends
朋友们欢迎出席
Welcome
第3届
to the 3rd
中国国
China
际
International
进口博览
Import
会
Expo
暨虹桥
and
国际经济
Hongqiao
论坛
International Economic Forum
在习近平主席的
with the
亲自
personal
关心
involvement and
和指导
guidance
下
of President Xi Jinping
在全国各地
with the joint
和有
efforts
关
of
部
local
门
governments,
和全体
relevant
工作人
departments
员的
and all the staff
共同努力下，在各国政
and
府
with the strong
国际
support
组织
of
和
foreign
各界
governments,
朋友的大
international
力支持下，
organizations, and friends from
第
all
3
sectors,
届进口博览
the
会
preparations for
各
the
项
third
筹备工作
CIIE
已经就绪
is。now completed.
我代表组
On
委
behalf
会
of the organizing
向大家
committee,
表示
I wish to
衷
extend
心的感谢，
heartfelt thanks to
向
all
各
of
位
you
嘉
and
宾
a warm
表
welcome
示
to
诚挚的
all
欢
the
迎。
guests.
在全球疫情持续
While
蔓延的形势
COVID-19
下，
continues to rage
中
in the
国
world,
如期举
China
办
is
第
holding
3
the
届
third
进口博览会，
CIIE as scheduled.
表明了我们
This shows
有
our
效
confidence
防控疫
in
情的信
effectively
心
controlling the
和
coronavirus
坚定不移
and our firm resolve
全
in
面
expanding
扩大开放的
all-round
决心。
opening up.
中国政府
The Chinese
对
government
本届进
attaches
博会
great importance
高
to
度
this
重视。
CIIE.
中华人民共和国主席
President
习
Xi
近平
Jinping
将发
will
表
deliver
视
a
频
video
主持演
keynote
讲。
speech.
国务院副总
Vice
理
Premier
韩
Han
正
Zheng of the
莅临
State
会场，
Council is present at the conference hall.
出席今天开
The
幕
opening
式
ceremony
并将
will
发
also
表
be
视
attended
频
and
支持的
addressed
还有
through video by
巴基斯坦总统
President of
阿尔
Pakistan,
维、
Arif Alvi,
南非总统
President of
拉马
South
福萨、
Africa, Cyril Ramaphosa,
智利总统
President of
皮涅
Chile,
拉、
Sebastian
乌
Pinera,
兹别克斯坦总
President of
统
Uzbekistan,
米尔决约夫、
Shavkat Mirziyoyev,
塞尔维亚总
President
统
of Serbia,
武契奇、
Alexandra Vuchichi,
西班牙首相
President of the government of
桑切斯、
Spain, Pedro Sanchez,
巴布亚新几内亚
Prime
总理
Minister of Papua
马纳
New
佩
Guinea,、James Marape,
匈牙利总理
Prime Minister of
欧尔班、
Hungary, Orban Viktor,
联合国贸易
Secretary
和发
General
展
of the
会议
UN
秘书
Conference
长
on Trade and
基图
Development,
伊、
Mukisa
世界
Kitui,
卫生组织
Director
总干
General of
事
the World Health
谭德赛、
Organization, Tedros
世
Adhanom
界知识产权
Ghebreyesus,
组织
Director
总干
General of
事
the World Intellectual
邓洪
Property
生、
Organization, Darren Tam,
世界贸易组
and
织
Deputy
副
Director
总干
General
事
of the World
易
Trade
小准。
Organization, Yi Xiaojun.
145个国家
Ministers
主
responsible
管
for
经
economic
贸事
affairs
务
of
的部级以上
145
官员
countries
线
are
上
attending
出
the
席开
opening
幕式，
ceremony online.
各国使节、
Diplomatic
联合
envoys
国
of foreign
等
countries,
国际组织、
representative
驻
officers
华
of
机
the
构、
UN and other international
各省
organizations
区
in
市
China,
有
leading
关部委
officials
负
of
责人、
China's provincial and municipal
跨国公
governments
司、
and relevant
智库
departments,
和
and
商协会代
representatives
表
of transnational
也出席
companies,
了
think
今
tanks,
天
and
的
business
开幕式。
associations are also attending the opening ceremony.
本届进博会
This
展
year's
览规模更
CIIE
大，
has grown further
展
in
品
size
更
and
加丰富
variety. There are 6 main
设置了
exhibition
技术
areas,
装备、
namely
汽车、
intelligent
消费
industry and
品、
information
食品
technology,
及农产品、
automobile, consumer
医疗
goods,
器械
food and
及
agri
医药
products,
保健、
medical equipment and
服务贸易
healthcare products,
等6大
and
展
trade
区，
in services.
新设了公
Specialized
共卫生
zones
防
are
疫、
added for public
智
health
慧
and
出
epidemic
行、
prevention,
节能
smart
环保、
travel, energy
体育用
conservation 及
品
environmental
及赛事
protection,
等专
sports
区，
facility and sports games.
共有124个国
In
家
total, more
和
than
地区的企业参展，
2,600 exhibitors from
展览面积
124
扩大
countries
到
and regions are taking
36万
part.
平方
The
米，
exhibition area has reached nearly
40万家专业
360,000
采
square
购商
meters
报名
and
参会，
400,000 professional
许多
purchasing
全
businesses
球首
registered
发
to participate.
中国
There
首
will be
展的
many new
新
products,
产
new
品、新
technologies,
技术、
and
新
new
服务
services
将
showing
集
up
中
for
亮
the
相。
first time ever in China and even
博
in
览
the
会期
world.
间还将举
In
办
addition,
100
there
多
will be more
场
than
各
100
类论坛
various
和
fora
配套
and
活动。
supporting events during
希望
the
大家
Expo. We
充
hope
分
you
利
will
用
make
这
full
一
use
国
of
际
this
平台，
international
努
platform,
力达成
produce
更
more
多合作成
cooperation
果，
outcomes,
为推
and
动
make greater
世界经
contributions
济贸易
to accelerating
加
the
快复
recovery
苏
of the
做
world
出
economy
更大的
and
贡献。
global trade.
现在，
Now,
让我们以
please
热烈的
give a
掌
round
声
of warm
有
applause
请
to
中
the
华人民
video
共和国
keynote
主席
speech by His
习近
Excellency
平阁
Xi
下
Jinping,
发表
President
视
of the
频组
People's
织演
Republic
讲。
of China.
尊敬的各位国家元首、
Your Excellencies,
政
heads
府
of
首
state
脑
and government,
尊敬的
Your
各位
Excellencies,
国际组织负
heads
责人、
of international organizations,
尊敬的各代表团团长、
Your Excellencies, heads of
各位来
delegations,
宾、
distinguished
女士
guests,
们、先生们、
ladies and
朋友们，
gentlemen, dear friends,
在各方共同努力下，
with concerted efforts of
第
all
3届
parties,
中国国际
the third
进口
China
博览会
International Import
开幕
Expo
了。
is now open.
首先，
At the
我代表
outset,
中国政府
let me extend
和
on
中国
behalf
人
of the
民，
government and people of
并
China,
以我个人的名
as
义
well as in my own
向各位
name,
嘉
a
宾
hearty welcome to
表
all
示热烈的欢
distinguished
迎，
guests.
对各位
To
新老
many
朋
old
友
and new friends,
表示诚挚
I
的
give
问
you
候。
my warm greetings and best
本届
regards.
进博会
This
是在
year's
特殊时
CIIE
期
is
举
convened
办
at a
的。
special time.
突如其来的新冠肺炎疫
COVID-19,
情
which caught us
给
all by
各
surprise,
国带来
has
了
hit countries
严重
hard
冲击，
and dealt
也
a
给世界
heavy
经
blow
济带来
to the
重
world
创。
economy.
中国在确保
As
防疫安全
scheduled
前
and
提下，
confident in the containment
如期
protocols
举
that
办
have been put in place,
这一全球
China
贸易
is
盛
hosting
会，
this global trade event.
体现了中国
It
同世
demonstrates
界
China's sincere
分
desire
享市
to
场机
share its
遇、
market
推
opportunities
动
with
世
the
界
world
经济复
and
苏的
contribute to global
真诚
economic
愿望。
recovery.
经过3年发展，
Over the past 3 years,
进博
since
会
its
让
inception,
展品
the
变商品，
CIIE has enabled exhibits
让
to
展
become
商
traded goods
变投
and
资商，
exhibitors to spot more
交流
investment
创意和理
opportunities.
念，
It has facilitated
连
the
通
exchange
中国
of
和
new
世
and
界，
creative ideas and
成为
better
国际
connected
采
China
购、
and the wider
投
world,
资促进、
acting as a major
人文
platform
交
for
流、
international procurement,
开
for
放合
investment
作的
promotion, for cultural
4
exchange,
大
and for
平
open
台，
cooperation. The
成为全
CIIE
球共
is
享
now
的
an international
国际公
public
共
good
产品。
for the world to share.
本届进博会，
This
各
year,
国企业参
the
展踊跃，
CIIE has drawn a large
参
number
展
of
面积又
businesses
扩大
around the
了
globe.
近
The
3万平
exhibition
方米。
area has expanded by nearly
仅在
30,000
新设立
square
的
meters.
公共卫生
A
防疫
zone
专
on
区
public，health and epidemic
就有
prevention
很多
has been added,
世界
which
500
alone
强
has attracted
和
many
行业
Fortune
龙头
Global
企业参
500
与。
corporations and leading firms in relevant
这
sectors.
次采取线上线下
With both
结合方
online
式
and，offline exhibitions
各方面
arranged
都做了周密安
and
排，
thoughtful preparations made in
相
every
信
way.
一定能够办成
I
一
am
届
confident
安
that the
全
third、CIIE
精彩、
will be a safe,
富有成效
exciting,
的博
and
览会。
successful expo for all of you.
女士们、先生们、朋友们，
Ladies and gentlemen, friends,
尽管受到疫情影响，
notwithstanding
今年中国
COVID-19,
扩大开放的步伐
the pace
仍
of
在
opening
加
up
快
in。China has continued to
我
quicken
在
this
第2
year.
届中国国际进口博
The
览会
measures
上
I announced
宣布的
at last year's
扩大对外
CIIE
开放系列
have
举
been
措
implemented.
已经全面落实。中国持续扩大
China
进
has
口，
taken steady steps to
1年
expand
来
imports,
中国商品和
with
服务
imports
进
of
口
goods
额
and services
增速
outpacing
明显
global
高于
average
全球
over the
平
past
均水
year.
平。全国外商投资
The
准入
items on the national
负面
connected
清
list
单
for foreign
由
investment
40条
have been cut from
减
40
到33条，
to 33.
自由贸易试验区由
The
18
number
个
of pilot
增
free
至
trade zones
21
has
个。
increased from 18 to 21.
海南自由贸易
The
港
master plan
建
for
设
the
总体
development of
方案
Hainan Free Trade Port
深圳进一步扩
and
大改
the
革开放的
implementation
实
plan
施
for
方
further
案
reform and
发
opening
布
up in
实施，
Shenzhen have both been released and taken effect.
商签高标准，
Good progress has
自由
been
贸易协
registered
定
in， concluding high standard free
培育
trade
进
agreements,
口贸易
developing
促进
demonstration
创
zones
新
for
示范
creative
区，
promotion of import trade,
保护知识产权、
protecting intellectual
高质量
property
共建“一带一路”等举
and
措
advancing
都
high
取
quality
得了
Belt and
积
Road
极进展。
cooperation.
女士们、先生们、朋友们，
Ladies and gentlemen, friends,
新冠肺炎疫情大流行
the
使
COVID-19
世界经
pandemic
济不
has
稳
added
定，
to the
不确定
instability
因素
and
增多。
uncertainty facing the world economy.
从历史上看，
However,
不管
looking
遇到
back
什
at
么
history,
风险、什么
humanity
灾
has
难，
always been
什
able
么
to
逆
forge
流，
ahead despite risks,
人类社会
disasters,
总
and
是要前
headwinds.
进的，
And humanity shall
而
and
且
will
一定能
continue
够
to strive
继续
forward.
前进。各国走向开放、
The overwhelming
走向
trend
合作的
for
大
countries
势
to move
没有
toward
改变。
openness and cooperation
我
remains
们要携起
unchanged.
手来，
All
共同
countries
应
need to
对
come together
风险
to
挑
jointly
战，
tackle risks and
共同
challenges,
加强合作沟
strengthen
通，
cooperation and
共
communication,
同扩大对
and
外开
embrace
放。
greater openness.
我们要致力于推进合作
We
共
need
赢
to
的
commit
共同
to
开放。
mutual opening up that features
这次疫
shared
情告诫
benefits.
我们，
COVID-19 is a
各
stark
国是休
reminder
戚与共
that
的
all
命运共
countries
同
are
体。
in a community with a shared
重大
future.
危机面前，
No
没有
one can
谁
stay
能够
immune
独
in a
善其
major
身。
crisis.
团结合作是应对
Solidarity
挑
and
战的必
cooperation
然选
is
择。
the right choice to make in meeting challenges.
我们要坚持合作共赢理
We
念，
must uphold the principle of mutually
信任
beneficial cooperation.
而不是猜
We need
忌
to，build trust rather than
携
second
手
guess each other. We need to
而
join
不是
hands
挥
rather than
拳，
throw punches at each other.
协
And we
商
need to consult
而不是谩骂，
rather than slander each other.
以各国共同利益为
Bearing in
重，
mind the common interests that bind
推
us
动
all,
经济全球化，
countries need to work
朝
together
着更加
to
开
make
放、
economic globalization
包
more
容、
open, inclusive,
普惠、
and
平衡
balanced
共
for the
赢的方
benefits
向
of
发
all.
展。我们要致力于推
We need
进
to commit to
合
mutual
作共
opening up
担的
that features
共同开
shared
放。
responsibilities.
历史和实践证明，
Both
风险
history
挑
and
战面
reality
前
tell us
各
that
国
when
应该
confronted by risks
同
and
舟
challenges,
共济，
countries must
各
work
尽
together
其
as
责，
partners,
而
with
不
each
应该
shouldering its due
唯我独
responsibility.
尊，
It is ill-advised
损
to
人
pursue
不利己。
unilateral dominance or choose to hurt others'
大
interests,
国要率先
which
示范，
diminishes one's own interests.
主要经济体
Big
要以
countries
身
need
作
to lead
则，
by example. Major
发展
economies
中
need
国
to act
家
on
要
sound
积极
principles,
作为，
and developing countries need to
通
play
过
an
共同
active
开
part
放
in promoting opening up
共担
and
责任，
sharing responsibilities.
推动世界
It is
共
by
同发
working
展。
together that we will advance common development.
我
for
们
the
要
world.
致力于推进合作共治的
We need to
共同
commit to
开放。
mutual opening up that features shared
面
governance.
对经济全球化带来的挑
Faced
战，
with the challenges
不
brought
应
by
该
economic
任由单边
globalization,
主义、
we must not
保
allow
护主义破坏
unilateralism
国
or
际秩序
protectionism
和
to
国际规
undermine
则，
the international order and
而要以
international
建设
laws.
性姿态改
Rather,
革全
we
球
need to
经济治理
reform
体
the
系，
global economic governance
更
system
好
in
趋
a
利避
constructive
害。
way to better seize opportunities and
要
avoid
坚
harm.
持共商、共建、
Guided
共
by a
享
vision
的
of
全
global
球治理
governance
观，
based on extensive consultation,
维护以
joint
世界
contribution
贸易
and
组织
shared
为
benefit.
基石的
We need to
多
safeguard
边
the multilateral
贸易
trading
体制，
system with the World Trade
完
Organization
善全
as
球
its
经济
cornerstone,
治理规则，
improve the rules
推
of
动
global
建设
economic
开放
governance,
型
and build
世
an
界经
open
济。
world economy.
女士们、先生们、朋友们，
Ladies and gentlemen, friends,
刚刚闭幕的中共19届五中
the
全
just
会
concluded fifth plenary
对
session
中
of
国
the
“十四五”
19th
时期
CCTV
发展
Central
做
Committee
出全面规
adopted
划，
an overall plan for China's
中
development
国
in
决
the
胜
coming 14 five-year
全面
plan
建
period.
成小康社会，
Very soon, China will achieve
决
the
战
goal of
脱
finishing
贫攻坚的
building a
目标
moderately
即
prosperous
将实
society
现。
in all respects
从
and
明年
eradicating
起，
poverty. From
将
next year
开
on,
启
China
全
will
面
begin
建
a
设
new
社会
journey
主
toward
义
fully
现
building
代化
a
国家
modern
新征程，
socialist country.
中国将进入一个
It will mark a
新发
new
展阶段，
stage for China's development.
适应新形势、新要求。
Answering to the changing
我们提出
circumstances
构
and
建
new requirements,
以
we
国
have
内
set
大
out
循
to
环为主
foster a
体，
new development
国内
paradigm
国际
with
双循
domestic
环相互
circulation
促
as the
进的
mainstay
新
and
发展
domestic
格
and
局。
international circulations reinforcing each
这
other.
绝不是
What
封
we
闭的国内
envision
循
is
环，
not a development
而是
loop
更加
behind
开
closed
放的
doors,
国
but
内
more
国际双
open
循环。
domestic and international circulations.
不仅是中国自
We
身发
will
展
do
需
so
要
not，only to meet China's
而
own
且
development needs,
将
but
更好
also
造
for the
福
greater benefit
各
of
国人民。
people in all countries.
中国有14亿人口，
China has a population of
中等收入
1.4
群
billion
体超过
and
4
a
亿，
middle income group that exceeds
是全球
400
最具
million.
潜力的大
The
市场。
vastly huge China market is the most promising.
预计
in the
未
world.
来10年 年
Total import
累
into
计
China
商品进
is
口额
estimated to top
有望
22
超过
trillion
22万亿
US dollars
美
in
元
the coming decade.
中国制造已经成为
Chinese
全球
manufacturing
产业
now
链、
makes
供
an
应链的
important
重要组成
and
部分，
positive part of the global
做出了积极
industrial
贡献。
and supply chains.
中国广阔的
Demand
内
from
需
the
市
massive
场
domestic
将
market
继
in
续
China
激发
will
源源
continue
不
to
断的
unleash endless
创新
potential
潜能。
for innovation.
女士们、先生们、朋友们，
Ladies and gentlemen,
新冠疫
friends,
情对各国都是一场大考。
COVID-19 has put all countries
中国人
through a
民
tough test.
经过艰
In
苦卓
case
绝
of
努力，
China, our people have
疫情
exerted
防控
extraordinary
取得
efforts
重大战略
and made
成果。
major strategic gains in controlling
中
the
国经济
coronavirus.
呈现稳定
The Chinese economy
转
is
好
steadily
态势，
picking up,
前3季度实
as
现了
evidenced
正
by
增长，
the positive overall
其
growth
中
in
对
the
外贸易
first
额
three quarters,
增长
including a
0.7%，
0.7% growth
实际
in
使
foreign
用外资
trade
增长 5.2%，
and a 5.2%
为推
rise
动
in
世界
paid
经济
in
复
foreign
苏
investment.
发挥了积极
This
作
is a
用。
major contribution to economic
为
recovery
支
in
持
the world.
各国
What's more,
抗击
out of
疫情，
solidarity with other countries
中国人
in
民
fighting
毫无保留
COVID-19,
同各
the
方
Chinese
分
people
享
have
经
shared
验，
full experience and
尽
done
己
our
所
best
能，
to assist
为国际
the
社会提供援
international
助。
community.
截止10月20日，
As of
已
20th
向
of October,
150个国家和7
China
个国
had
际组
provided
织
assistance to
提供抗
150
疫
countries
援助，
and 7 international organizations
出口口罩
and exported
1790多亿只，
179 billion
防
masks,
护服17.3亿件，
1.73 billion protective
检
suits,
测试剂盒5.43
and
亿等份，
543 million testing
展
kits.
现了
This is how
中国担
China
当。
has acted out its responsibility.
下一步，中国
Going
将
forward,
秉持
China
开放、
will stay committed
合作、
to openness,
团结、
cooperation,
共
and
赢的信
unity
念，
for win-win results.
坚定不移、全面
We will
扩大
steadfastly
开放，
expand all-round opening up
将更有效率地
and explore more
实
efficient
现内
ways
外市场联
to
通，
connect domestic and
要
foreign
素
markets
资源共
and
享，
share factors of production
让
and
中国市
resources.
场成为世
Our
界
aim
的
is
市
to
场，
turn the China market
共享
into a
市场，
market for the world,
大家的
a
市场，
market shared by all,
为
and a
国际
market
社会
accessible to all.
注入更
This
多
way,
正
we
能
will be
量。
able to bring more positive energy to the global
第
community.
一，建设开放新高地。
First, China will nurture new pace-setters of
过去
opening up.
7年来，中国
Over the
各
past 7
自
years,
由贸易试验
in
区
pilot free
锐
trade
意
zones
进
in
取，
China,
大胆
a lot
探
has
索
been done to break
取得
new
显著
ground,
成
and
效。
bold experiments have produced remarkable
海南
results.
自由贸易港
The
建设
Hainan
顺利
Free
开
Trade
局，
Port has been kicked off to
中
a
国
good
将
start.
有效发挥
China
自由
will
贸易试
continue
验
to
区
leverage the pioneering
自由贸易
role of
港
pilot
引
free
领
trade
作用，
zones and free trade ports
出台跨
in
境服
steering
务贸易
opening up.
负面
We will
清单，
introduce a negative list for
在数
cross-border
字经
services
济、
trade
互联网等
and
领
open
域
still wider in
持续
areas
扩大
like the
开放，
digital economy and
深
the
入开
internet.
展贸
We
易
will
和
deepen
投资
reform
自
and
由化，
innovation in trade
便
and
利化
investment
改革创新，
liberalization and facilitation,
推动建设
and make
更高水平
institutional innovations
开
to
放
support
型
an
经济
open
新
economy
体制。
of
第
higher
二，
standards.
促进
Second,
外贸创
China
新
will
发
pursue
展。
creative ways to grow
中
foreign
国
trade
将继续通过
through
进
the
博会等
CIIE
开
and
放
other
平台，
platforms of opening up.
支持各国企
We
业
will continue
拓
to
展
support
中国
companies
商
from
机。
around the world in exploring business
中国
opportunities
将挖
in
掘外
China.
贸增长潜力，
We will tap into the growth
为
potential
推
of
动
foreign trade
国际贸
with
易
a
增
view
长
to boosting growth
世界
in
经济发
international
展
trade
做出
and
积极
the
贡
world
献。
economy.
中国将推动跨境电商
China
等
will
新业
encourage
态
cross-border
新模式
e-commerce
加
and
快
other
发展，
new business forms and
培
models
育
to grow even
外
quicker
贸新动能。
to foster new drivers of foreign trade.
中国将压缩中
China
国
will
禁止
shorten
进
its
口限
catalog
制进口
of
技术
technologies
目录，
prohibited or restricted from
为
import
技
to
术
create
要素
a
跨
favorable
境自由流
environment
动
for the free flow of
创造良好。
technologies across borders.
第三，
Third,
持续优化营商环境。
China will keep improving its
中
business
国在疫情
environment.
后出台的
In
各
the wake
项
of
扶困
COVID-19, China
惠
has
企
adopted
政
a
策，
range of pro-business
对
relief
在中国
policies
境内
that
注册
apply
的企业
equally to all
一视
companies
同仁。
registered in China.
今年，
Earlier
中
this
国
year,
实施外商
the
投
Foreign
资法
Investment Law
和相关
and
配
its
套法规，
supporting rules and regulations came
进一
into
步缩
effect,
减了外商
and
投
the negative
资
list
准
on foreign
入
investment
负面
was
清
cut
单。
still shorter.
中国将继续完善公
China
开
will
透明
continue
的
to make its foreign-related
涉外法律
legal
体系，
framework more open and
强化
transparent,
知识产权保护，
strengthen intellectual property
维护
protection,
外资企业合法
better
权益，
protect the lawful rights and
以
interests
优
of
质服
foreign
务营
investors,
造 更好环
and
境，
provide them with more high-quality services
第四，
to further improve the business environment.
深化双边、多边
Fourth, China will
区域
pursue
合作。
deeper bilateral, multilateral, and
中
regional
国愿同
cooperation.
更多国家商
China
签
stands
高标
ready
准
to
自由
conclude
贸易协定，
high-standard free trade agreements with
推动
more
尽
countries
快
in the
签
world.
署区域全
We
面
will
经
work
济
for
伙
the
伴
early
关
signing
系
of
协
the
定，
Regional Comprehensive
加
Economic
快中欧
Partnership
投资协定，
and speed up negotiations
中日
on
韩
the
等
China
自由
EU
贸易协
Investment
定
Treaty
谈判
and the
进
China-Japan ROK Free Trade
加
Agreement.
强同世界高标
We
准
look
自贸
forward
区
to more
交流
exchanges
互
and
鉴。
mutual learning with high-standard free trade zones
中
in
国
other parts
将
of the
积极
world.
参与世界
China
贸
will
易组
take
织
an
改
active
革，
part in WTO
积极
reform
参与联合国、
and in cooperation at
20个集
the
团、
United Nations,
亚
the
太经合组
G20,
织、
APEC,
金砖国家等机制
BRICS
合作。
and other
中
fora.
国将同相关国家
China
高
will
质
work
量
with
共
partner
建
countries
一带一
to
路，
promote high-quality
推动
Belt and
构
Road
建人类
cooperation
命运
and
共
build a community with a shared future for
女
mankind.
士们、先生们、朋友们，
Ladies and gentlemen, friends,
中国人常说，
as
不
we
到
often
长
say
城
in
非口
China,
汉。
those who do not make their way to the Great
当
Wall
前世界
are
经
not
济发
true
展
heroes.
面临
Now,
严峻
at a
挑
time
战
of， formidable challenges
我们
facing
要
the world
坚定信
economy,
心，
it is
增
imperative
强
that we
勇
bolster
气，
confidence and
共克
courage
时艰。
to tide over this difficult
中国
period
愿同各国
together.
一道，
China will
在
join
开
hands
放
with
中
all
创
other
造
countries
机遇，
to create
在
opportunities
合
in
作
opening
中
up,
破解难题，
tackle difficult problems
携
through
手创造
cooperation, and
人类
foster
更加
a
美好
brighter
的明
future
天。
for humanity.
谢谢大家。
Thank you. I thank President Xi Jinping for his inspiring speech. President Xi reviewed the development achievements of the CIIE and the major opening up measures China has rolled out over the past year. He proposed the important initiative on mutual opening up that features shared benefits, shared responsibilities, and shared governance. And he set out the direction and priorities for China's all-round opening up in the next step. President Xi's important speech will certainly have a significant and far-reaching impact on China's endeavor to pursue higher standard opening up and break new ground in win-win cooperation. I now give the floor to the speaking guests. Thank you, Vice Premier Hu Chunhua. Now, remarks by His Excellency Arif Alvi, President of Pakistan. Please put on your earpiece for simultaneous interpretation.
Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is a great pleasure for me to address the third China International Import Expo being held in the city of Shanghai. China is in the near future is going to import $10 trillion worth of goods from the rest of the world. So this organization of the Expo will give the opportunity to international exporters to China to clearly understand what needs to be sent to China and what China is ready to import. So it is a good exposition for improving trade and allowing all the countries from the rest of the world to export to China, while China also is progressing forward and developing products for the rest of the world. So as far as trade is concerned, I must congratulate the city of Shanghai, the government of Shanghai and the government of China for organizing such a huge exposition which will improve trade with the rest of the world. In 2018 Expo 18, Prime Minister of Pakistan, Mr. Imran Khan, took part in that and he spoke on that occasion, and the Expo in 2019 was also organized well. But this Expo is being held despite COVID, and I must congratulate President Xi, the hard work of the Chinese people, the very disciplined approach as far as COVID-19 was concerned. They were able to show to the world how to manage COVID, and it was well managed in China. So The cooperation between Pakistan and China as far as COVID is concerned is also something which is appreciated. The third phase trials of the COVID vaccine are being held in Pakistan, and I'm sure the rest of the world will benefit very quickly from what is being done as far as COVID is concerned. I visited China in March 2020 when the COVID was at its peak, just to show the fact that Pakistan has very solid relations with China, just to show the fact to the world that we are confident that China will be able to manage it well. And I met President Xi Jinping. I also met the Prime Minister Li Keqiang on that occasion, and we had very good exchange of ideas between Pakistan and China. The CPEC corridor and the Belt and Road Initiative, which China has initiated for almost throughout Asia, is going to increase trade between countries. The CPEC initiative, as Pakistan is concerned, went through its first phase of energy and development of energy and infrastructure. Now it's going into a second phase, which is improvement of agriculture, improvement of industry, and to lift the people of Pakistan out of poverty. China has done tremendous progress in lifting people out of poverty, and I must congratulate the Communist Party of China as well as its leadership for this exceptional change which they have shown the world how to lift people out of poverty. The economy of Pakistan is at the macroeconomic level has improved significantly. The Pakistan has been able to handle COVID very well without shutting down totally its industries, and therefore Pakistan's export has increased. What we are looking forward is establishment of industrial sectors, special economic zones, and I hope Chinese investments and investments from the rest of the world would come to Pakistan to establish industries in the special economic zones. Pakistan has improved in ease of doing business tremendously, and as the economy is improving, we also believe that we would like to have more investment in this country to further improve the lot of the people of Pakistan. I'm very confident that the friendship between Pakistan and China, which is deeper than the oceans and higher, very high in the sky, is further strengthened, continuously strengthened. This is a good example of friendship between two countries in the world, which is not necessarily just a transactional relationship, but a friendship much deeper than that, and credit to the leadership of the last seven decades of the leadership of Pakistan and China to continue to establish this friendship and love between the people of Pakistan and China. It knows no bounds, and I look forward to a future where this friendship is further increased in the prosperity of the People's Republic of China and the people of China, and at the same time the prosperity with good cooperation between China and Pakistan, and with Pakistan and the rest of the world in improving the prosperity of the people of Pakistan. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Now we'll hear the remarks from President Ramaphosa of South Africa.
Your Excellency, President Xi Jinping, President of the People's Republic of China, Chairpersons of Regional Economic Communities of Africa, Honorable Heads of State and Government, Honorable Ministers, Your Excellencies, Ambassadors, ladies and gentlemen. Allow me to begin by conveying my appreciation to President Xi Jinping and to the People's Republic of China for ensuring that this third International Import Expo takes place despite the challenging times and circumstances in which the world finds itself. As we embark on the difficult task of economic recovery in the wake of COVID-19, it is more necessary than ever to promote global investment and trade. This is the largest import exhibition in the world. It is an opportunity for companies from around the world to connect with the Chinese market and for Chinese companies to forge ties with companies from other parts of the world. The number of international companies participating this year is higher than in previous years, further conveying China's commitment to inclusive globalization. For the African continent, this could not have come at a better time. We are just 2 months away from the first trading date of the African Continental Free Trade Area. This free trade area will be the largest trade area in the world. It will boost regional trade, reconfigure continental supply chains on the African continent, and spur economic growth in a number of countries in Africa. As much as its focus is on intercontinental trade, China is a long-standing and valued trade partner of Africa. It is therefore my hope that at next year's Expo, we will see even greater numbers of African companies participating. South Africa has been a regular participant since the very first Expo in 2018. We have been ably represented by our established companies and export councils from a number of sectors of our economy, such as agro-processing, chemicals, infrastructure, and ICT. I have no doubt Chinese companies and investors will find that there is much that South Africa has to offer in terms of diverse value-added products, goods, and services. Your Excellency, on behalf of the African Union member countries, I want to thank you for China's assistance during the pandemic through the provision of medical equipment and supplies, and for pledging debt suspensions to 77 developing countries. The extraordinary China-Africa Summit on solidarity against COVID-19 was a further testament to China's commitment to Africa. Just as we stand united in the face of the global health threat, so too must we stand and act as one to reverse the negative economic impact of COVID-19. We must continue to be decisive and proactive in our response to the pandemic and prevent any further outbreaks. Sino-Africa solidarity and multilateral cooperation is key if we are to overcome not only COVID-19, but any other challenge that we may face or we face both now and in the future. I wish all the participants in this third China International Import Expo a successful outcome. Together we are paving the way to a future of recovery, reconstruction, and shared prosperity. May our bonds of solidarity grow stronger. May the common aspirations of our people unite us in pursuit of a better Africa, a better China, and ultimately a better world. I thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Now I invite His Excellency Sebastian Pinera, President of Chile, to address the ceremony.
Good morning and good evening. It gives me great pleasure to attend the opening ceremony of the third China International Import Expo in this virtual setting. I want to thank President Xi Jinping for inviting me to speak. 2020 has been a year of misery and also a year of reflection. 1 year ago, nobody would have imagined that a mini-virus could have plunged the world into the most serious health crisis and economic recession since the Second World War. All countries have been caught off guard by such a great challenge. However, in the past 11 months, we have learned to live with it. First, the pandemic has taught us to be modest. What has happened this year exposes the fragility of the global governance system, a system we built together. It has greatly strengthened global connectivity, deepened interdependence among countries, brought about economic growth, social progress, and improvement of people's well-being, and indeed benefited people around the world. On the other hand, this system also has its limits. It lacks the tools to manage the challenges we face, both present and in the future. Therefore, it urgently needs to be strengthened and reformed. Second, the pandemic has taught us the value of unity and collaboration. In the past 2 years, the principles of free trade and multilateralism have been widely questioned. At the beginning of the pandemic, we were seeing that some countries were not just shutting their borders, but also closing their economies. But I firmly believe that to overcome the health and economic crisis, we need an unprecedented level of coordination and a strong commitment to free trade and multilateralism. The menace brought by the pandemic is not yet over. As we speak, the second wave of the pandemic is ravaging in many countries. This shows that pending the availability of effective, secure, and accessible vaccines, we need to learn to live with the virus and adapt to new ways of work, life, and interaction. This year marks the 50th anniversary of Chile-China diplomatic relations. Due to the pandemic, we are unable to celebrate this occasion in the way we hope. But this will not affect the deep friendship between our two countries and our valuable cooperation in fighting the virus. I want to take this opportunity to thank China for the support and assistance it has given Chile. In the face of the pandemic, Chile and China have stood together in unity. China has helped Chile get through the difficult times, and our public and private sectors have fully cooperated in this process. Our two countries have maintained dialogue at both bilateral and multilateral levels. We have worked together to ensure unimpeded international trade and uphold the WTO dispute settlement mechanism. Under the current circumstances, all countries need to work together to build an open, non-discriminatory trade system based on the rule of transparency. This is essential for the world economy to recover from recession and embrace stronger growth. Under the leadership of President Xi Jinping, China is working to promote mutual understanding and collaboration among countries. Finally, I want you all to look beyond COVID-19. Some of the impacts of the pandemic are temporary, while others are more long-lasting. However, no impact should stop us from focusing on the tremendous challenges we all face. Eliminating poverty, reducing inequality, making high-quality education and medical services accessible, gender equality, digital and technological revolution, and of course climate change and global warming. We must return to the path outlined in the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, a commitment that all countries made in 2015. In this challenging year, the position and efforts of the Chinese government to promote the 2030 Agenda have given us confidence in our shared future. We must and can build a better future together through unity and collaboration. I thank you. Thank you, Your Excellency. I now invite President Mirziyoyev of Uzbekistan to address the ceremony.
Your Excellencies, heads of state and government, Your Excellencies, heads of delegations and participants, at the outset, I wish to thank His Excellency President Xi Jinping for inviting me to address the opening ceremony of the 3rd China International Import Expo. The participants are welcome to display the achievements of economic development and the latest research outcomes of their respective countries. The participation of 180 countries and international organizations is a good testament to the growing momentum of partnership between China and its international partners. COVID has wreaked havoc in the world economy, plunging international trade and sabotaging the global industrial chains and trade ties. With the COVID-induced economic and social crisis in place, we must engage in even closer coordination at the international, bilateral, and local levels. The organization of CIIE, a major event of this scale, speaks to the recovery of the Chinese economy and the importance of stronger international cooperation. An international platform as such plays an important role in growing international cooperation and addressing the economic and social issues as a result of COVID-19. Taking this opportunity, I wish to thank China for its kind assistance to Uzbekistan in fighting COVID-19. Uzbekistan believes that economic cooperation with China in a wide range of areas holds great promise. Uzbekistan's active participation in the CIIE in the past 2 years has lent strong impetus to trade and investment cooperation between our two countries. This year, despite COVID-19, Uzbek businesses remain active participants in the CIIE. Dear friends, Uzbekistan highly commends the new strategy proposed by the Chinese government aimed at keeping trade stable, removing trade barriers, and promoting global growth through greater economic integration. I wish to share a few thoughts on some of the key aspects. First, Uzbekistan has long been committed to the liberalization of its economy and foreign trade institutions. It is working to join the WTO and to foster a better investment environment. We are actively developing laws and regulations consistent with international standards and improving and streamlining taxation, regulation, and import and export procedures.
В этом году, несмотря на пандемию, компании Узбекистана также широко участвовали в Экспо. Уважаемые друзья, Узбекистане высоко оценивает новый стратегический курс председателя Китайской Народной Республики, нацеленный на обеспечение стабильности сферы торговли,
a catalog of popular products in our respective markets and facilitate the manufacturing and investment of these products.
Взаимосвязанности экономик разных стран. Хотел бы остановиться на наиболее важных аспектах расширения торгово-экономического сотрудничества.
Stronger cooperation in the transport sector is a central task. Uzbekistan pays high attention to unleashing the potential of the transport sector and is committed to building efficient land transport systems in the region. Uzbekistan is a strong supporter to the Belt and Road Initiative, which opens up bright prospects for greater connectivity within and beyond the region. Central Asia today is poised to, like in the Asian Silk Road era, once again become a hub of trade and transportation between Europe and Asia.
Второе. Ключевым приоритетом является усиление сотрудничества.
Uzbekistan is committed to building the China-Kyrgyzstan-Uzbekistan multimode transportation corridor and we support faster progress of the plan on building a China-Kyrgyzstan-Uzbekistan railway. We suggest that under the Belt and Road framework, a multi-dimensional network be established that covers land transportation, ports, logistics, wholesale, and distribution.
Между Европой и Азией. Приветствуем открытие нового мультимодального транспортного коридора Китай-Кыргызстан-Узбекистан. Выступаем за ускорение проработки проекта строительства железной дороги по этому маршруту.
Central Asia and South Asia through railway is of equal significance.
Один пояс, один путь интегрированной сети сухих портов, логистических и оптово-дистрибьюторских центров. Большое значение имеет инициатива по созданию новых транспортных коридоров, соединяющих железнодорожные системы Центральной и Южной Азии. Это позволит замкнуть сухопутную транспортную систему Евразийского континента. На 75-й сессии Генеральной Ассамблеи Организации Узбекистан выступил с предложением по созданию под эгидой ООН
Development Center for Transportation Connectivity under the auspices of the UN. We would appreciate it if your countries and international organizations could actively support this proposal. Third, Uzbekistan lays great emphasis on industrial development. We are working to reduce the share of raw materials in export, diversify the products, and make more high value-added products. In that context, we are giving strong support to industrial cooperation and developing new joint projects, starting with the deep processing of minerals and the manufacturing of high value-added products for export. Uzbekistan suggests that we formulate joint plans on industrial cooperation and encourage industrial leaders of the two sides to leverage joint investment funds and investment safeguard mechanisms to finance specific projects. Fourth, in the context of COVID-19, speeding up the digital economy is of critical importance. Uzbekistan suggests that we take joint steps to enable greater application of information technologies in international trade, customs clearance, transportation, education, and other fields. Trade volume through e-commerce should be further expanded. Uzbekistan stands ready to enhance cooperation with others in e-commerce. Fifth, the COVID-19 pandemic is still a focal issue and it might turn into a lasting crisis. Apparently, at a time of declining productivity, surging need for medical products, economic turmoil, and disrupted global supply chains, no country can stay unscathed, which means we must join hands and work proactively to tackle the crisis together. I suggest that we bolster cooperation in the medical and healthcare fields and share experience in fighting the pandemic and preventing the spread of risks across borders. Ladies and gentlemen, it is our strong belief that the third CIIE will inject new impetus to the recovery of world trade and international economic cooperation. I wish all the participants a great success. Thank you. Thank you, Your Excellency. Now I invite His Excellency Alexandra Vuchichi, President of Serbia, to address the ceremony.
Dear friends, Serbia is proud for its profound friendship with China. We are deeply honored to have China as our sincere and great friend, and to be China's best friend in Europe. I am delighted to see that as the world's best-performing economy, China has provided a top-class international platform for economic and trade promotion here at the CIIE, in which Serbia is fortunate to participate for 3 consecutive years. I'm also delighted to see that despite the impact of COVID-19, Serbia-China trade grew by a robust 30% this year. I am fully aware that Serbia is a small country, either in population or in land size. But we are a country with a broad mind and a big heart, and our friendship with China can be just as great. Serbia deeply appreciates the Great Belt and Road Initiative proposed by President Xi Jinping. Widely acclaimed by countries around the world, the BRI connects people across the globe. And, as President Xi explained, embodies the wisdom of the Chinese civilization, which values peace, harmony and amity among all nations. Serbia holds the same view that only when countries uphold the values of peace, stability, dialogue and consultation can we build a community with a shared future for humanity. I want to thank President Xi Jinping for offering valuable assistance to Serbia when we were at the most difficult times in our economy. Thanks to President Xi's personal involvement and support, Chinese investors have been very active in Serbia in recent years. For example, Hebei Iron and Steel Group acquired and operates a Serbian steel mill. Fujian Zijin Mining Group is investing in Serbian copper mines. I also want to thank President Xi for the fact that Chinese companies with outstanding construction capabilities are building transport infrastructure in our country, including the Budapest-Belgrade Railway and many highways in Serbia and the region. And there is even more space for bilateral cooperation in these areas. When COVID-19 hit Serbia, China provided selfless and tremendous assistance. China is one of the few countries who extended a helping hand to Serbia, and we are very grateful to China. Though I cannot physically attend the 3rd CIIE on the bank of Huangpu River this year, I can assure you that Serbia will stay firmly committed to deepening cooperation with China across the board and strengthening the tradition of friendship between our 2 countries. Long live our ironclad friendship! Long live China! Long live Serbia!
感谢吴基奇阁下的致辞。接下来有请西班牙首相
Thank you, President Vuchichi. Next, remarks by His Excellency Pedro Sanchez, President of the Government of
Your
Spain.
Excellency, Mr. Xi Jinping, President of the People's Republic of China, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the COVID-19 pandemic has demonstrated the fragility of the world we are living in. Its most ravaging outcome is the loss of almost 1.2 million lives worldwide. In its latest projections, the IMF foresees a 4.4% drop in global GDP in 2020, 5.8% if we only look at advanced economies, and this decrease in output will be even more pronounced in some regions, reaching 8.3% in the Eurozone. Meanwhile, emerging and developing Asia, with China at the forefront, has fared better and is expected to recover fast in 2021 with a forecast GDP growth of 8%. The value of world trade recorded a 19% year-to-year drop in the second quarter of the year 2020. Although there was a timid recovery in the third quarter, it is still 5% behind what was recorded last year. Emerging markets and developing economies grew consistently in the 2 decades before COVID-19, allowing for much-needed gains in poverty reduction and life expectancy. The crisis now puts much of that progress at risk while further widening the gap between rich and poor. Measures to contain the pandemic have had disproportionate effects on the most vulnerable. Women are once again bearing the brunt of the crisis. Before the pandemic, the poverty rate for women was expected to decrease by 2.7% between 2019 and 2021. Now projections point to an increase of 9.1%. And yet, While we try to cope with the consequences of this unprecedented crisis and economic contraction, we're facing new outbreaks. Only through responsibility, unity, and collective sacrifice will we be able to defeat this pandemic that burdens us all. We definitely need to ensure a speedy recovery, but we have to do it in a way that we build back better, that we take this as an opportunity to advance towards a growth pattern that is more resilient, greener, digital, and more inclusive, a new model that leaves no one behind. The fight against the climate change should be at the center of the recovery. The Paris Agreement is not only our guiding light for a greener and better future for generations to come, but also a prime example of how multilateral cooperation works for humanity. We welcome the goal of achieving carbon neutrality in China in 2060, recently announced by President Xi Jinping, which opens many possible areas of cooperation between our two countries. In Spain, in line with the European Union's recovery plans, we are already working at full speed on our national investment and reform plan, which is built on 4 cross-cutting pillars: the green transition, the digital transformation, social and territorial cohesion, and closing the gender gap. Ladies and gentlemen, the dimension of the challenges that we have to confront at this point in history demand also reinforcing the ties of dialogue and cooperation between countries in the framework of rule-based order and strong multilateralism. Spain is determined to strengthening the international economy, financial and trade system on the basis of transparency and reciprocity. Investment and commercial presence must be upheld on an equal footing and opportunity. Together with China, we look forward to participating constructively in the necessary reform of the World Trade Organizations to adapt it to the challenges of our time. We also strongly support the objective of concluding negotiations on an ambitious European Union-China comprehensive agreement on investment that addresses the current asymmetry in market accesses, contributes to a level playing field, establish significant commitments on sustainable development, and strengthens the principles of transparency and reciprocity. I know China and Spain share the vision on the way forward and the commitment to a stable and predictable multilateral framework capable of responding to the current and future needs, whether in international trade, connectivity, or climate change. For Spain, greater openness of the Chinese market would mean a qualitative change in the perception of opportunities by our companies. It is also in the interest of China and its people to be able to benefit from the high quality of many Spanish products, as well as from the international excellence of Spanish companies in sectors such as the development of infrastructures, renewable energies, biotechnology, or the treatment of water and desalination plants. Smart cities and electrical vehicles could also be important areas of cooperation for our two countries, as well as the development of the service sector. There are more than 800 Spanish companies present in China and another 15,000 exporting to this large market. But we want to scale those numbers up. China is a key market for Spanish small and medium enterprises with a great potential in both volume and product diversification. Spain and China share many common goals, as shown by our good collaboration in key international fora. The upcoming G20 summit will be an excellent opportunity to prove it once again. Let me conclude by conveying to all our Chinese and Spanish friends my best wishes for success in this year's important edition of the Shanghai Import Expo. And I hope that we will continue to make progress in enhancing trust-based relations for the prosperity and well-being of our citizens. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency. I now invite Prime Minister Marape of Papua New Guinea to address the ceremony.
Your Excellency, President Xi Jinping, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, friends, it gives me great pleasure and honor to represent the government and people of the independent state of Papua New Guinea to give remarks at the opening ceremony of the 3rd China International Import Expo. I want to thank President Xi Jinping and the Chinese government for the invitation and extend my warmest congratulations on the opening of the Expo. 2020 is special. Human beings are fighting a fierce war with a little virus. The COVID-19 global pandemic is yet to be fully controlled, and all countries are suffering from the severe impact. We, the humankind, are all equals in this fight against this invisible virus. The virus can only be defeated by solidarity, confidence, and cooperation, which is also the only way toward global economic recovery. It is therefore timely and commendable to hold this great expo at this critical time. I want to congratulate our hosts on their success in containing the pandemic, which is very impressive and injected hope and confidence into the international community. We appreciate China's firm commitment to global anti-pandemic cooperation since the outbreak. When the pandemic hit, Papua New Guinea and China stood together with solidarity and mutual support. We thank China for timely sharing its experiences on combating COVID-19 with PNG and other Pacific Island countries. After COVID-19 broke out in PNG, the Chinese government provided care assistance and sent tons of PPEs as well as ventilators and other equipments. For this, we are very, very grateful. I know similar stories happen around the world. As the world's second largest economy, China's economic recovery is significant for the rest of the world. We are encouraged by the positive growth figures in China, which IMF forecasts will be the only major economy to register positive growth this year. This expo, as a major international procurement platform under the framework of the Belt and Road Initiative, will undoubtedly open up new horizons for other countries to share the opportunities generated by China's recovery and growth. PNG has participated in the first 2 expos since 2018, which proved to be a very rewarding experience. The expo is a gateway for PNG to be connected to China and Asia, which will benefit our companies and our people. This year's event will further open the huge Chinese market for high-quality products for PNG and other countries, giving much-needed energy to global trade and economic growth at this very difficult time. I already gave instructions to our ambassador in Beijing to be actively involved. I clearly remember President Xi Jinping saying that the Chinese economy is an ocean during his historic state visit to our country in 2018. This ocean offers great opportunities and potential for all countries, and certainly PNG wants to join. The Belt and Road Initiative has inspired all of us, particularly young developing countries like PNG. Having a population of about 9 million, majority of whom reside in the rural areas, I believe that through joining the Belt and Road Initiative, PNG will be able to unlock our economic potential, reach our marginalized populations, build connectivity through infrastructure development, and bring services and prosperity closer to our people. The pandemic again taught us that the world is a community of shared future, and we support this great vision initiated by President Xi Jinping. Unilateralism and protectionism will never be the only answer to meet the challenges we are facing. It has become all the more important for us to uphold multilateralism, pursue open development, and strengthen international cooperation and tide over the hard times the world is facing. Every nation is called upon to join this endeavor to build a secure, healthy, and prosperous future for all mankind. In conclusion, let me once again offer my gratitude to China for organizing this great expo and making PNG a part of it. I wish this expo full success. Thank you very much. God bless the people of China. God bless President Xi Jinping. God bless Papua New Guinea. God bless the world.
Thank you, Prime Minister Marape. Next, remarks by His Excellency Orban Victor, Prime Minister of Hungary.
Dear President Xi, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, let me take this opportunity to thank the Chinese government for inviting me to address the distinguished audience of the China International Import Expo. This event takes place under very extraordinary circumstances, but this is no wonder. We are living in extraordinary times. The global pandemic puts enormous challenges ahead of us, not only regarding healthcare, but in terms of economy as well. Our obligation as political leaders is twofold. We have to make every possible effort to protect the health and the lives of our citizens, and in the meantime, we have to make sure that our countries continue to operate. Otherwise, we will not be able to save the jobs of the people. We understand there is a new world order under construction where almost nothing is going to be as was before. Although there are still more questions than answers regarding the pandemic, but there are some consequences which we can draw already. As you know, Hungary belongs to the Western integrations with strong ties to the East, historically, culturally, economically, and politically as well. So, we are not surprised that the role of the East is definitely increasing at a continuously accelerating pace. During the most complicated part of the first wave of the pandemic, the entire world lined up in China to purchase the medical equipment necessary to keep our healthcare system functioning. We are grateful to the People's Republic of China for assisting us in establishing an air bridge through which 185 aircrafts have carried medical devices of crucial importance. Another consequence we can also recognize is that a global race is kicking off for the redistribution of the production and service capacities of the world economy. A unique characteristic of this new race is that there is a new balance in terms of the geographic source of investments representing high added value and state-of-the-art technologies. It immediately becomes obvious if we look at the fact that last year 45% of all global investments were financed by the East, compared to 10 years ago when this ratio was only 17. Hungary proved to be successful in this competition so far, partly due to our opening to the East policy launched exactly 10 years ago. During this decade, we have increased our trade with the countries of the East by 25%, while last year 60% of all foreign investments to Hungary and 40% of all newly created jobs were completed by Eastern investors. Mr. President, I would like to take this opportunity to assure you that Hungary is committed to continue to work with you and the partner countries along the Belt and Road Initiative, which is timelier than ever. The pandemic forces us to unite our efforts, our sources, and our capacities to be able to overcome one of the most significant challenges of our recent common history. This pandemic also shows us very clearly that we have to come back to the basis of mutual respect in international relations. Otherwise, challenges will get even more serious. Mr. President, finally, let me please wish you and all our colleagues continued success and above all good health in your responsible duties. Stay safe. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Now I invite Mr. Kitui, Director General of the UN Conference on Trade and Development, to address the ceremony.
I am pleased to join you again, albeit virtually this time, for the third China International Import Expo. With the world in the grips of a global pandemic, today more than ever, the world needs strong sources of import demand to help weaker economies weather the storm of the current global economic downturn. China's growing weight as a global importer is a source of economic stability at a time of great uncertainty about the future trajectory of global growth. With most countries facing the worst economic shock in generations, China's continued demand for exports from the wider world offers a welcome reassurance to many. Our latest estimates at Untitled show that while global trade is on track for a negative 7 to 9% decline this year, China's imports in the third quarter have grown 13% year-on-year. These encouraging green shoots offer hope that global demand will also soon begin to recover in a more sustainable and resilient manner going forward. The global pandemic marks an inflection point in the transformation of international production towards shorter, more resilient, and regionalized value chains. Under these circumstances, China's role as a source of import demand from developing countries is more important than ever. Chinese demand for imports can and must help drive demand for higher value and more diverse basket of exports from developing countries. This, in turn, can help advance structural transformation and ignite new regional growth engines across the developing world. I am confident that the Chinese International Import Expo can play an important part, helping chart the way to a better recovery and stronger global economy for the benefit of all.
Thank you, Your Excellency. I now invite Dr. Tedros, Director General of the World Health Organization, to address the ceremony.
Excellencies, dear colleagues and friends, not since World War II has the global community been confronted with a crisis as severe as COVID-19 pandemic. More than 45 million cases have now been reported to WHO, and more than 1 million lives lost. The real number is certainly higher. The effects of the pandemic go far beyond health. Millions of people have lost their jobs, businesses are suffering, and the global economy is in recession. Unfortunately, the pandemic is continuing to accelerate in too many places, making it even more difficult for economies to rebuild and return to growth. We understand that individuals, communities, businesses, and governments want to reopen their economies and societies. That's what WHO wants too. We want to see children returning to school and people returning to their workplaces as soon as possible and as safely as possible. A vaccine will be a vital tool for helping to control the pandemic. As we speak, there are more than 200 candidate vaccines at some stage of clinical development around the world. Through the Access to COVID-19 Tools Accelerator facility, WHO and our partners are seeking to ensure that all people enjoy the benefits of research, development, and innovation, not just those who can afford it. Our aim is to have 2 billion doses of vaccine available by the end of 2021. As we rebuild together, we have a choice. What kind of communities and economies are we rebuilding? Throughout history, outbreaks and pandemics have changed economies and societies. This one will be no different. We cannot go back to the way things were. The private sector has a vital role to play in the recovery as we work together to build more resilient societies and economies. We welcome the tremendous innovation that's enabling businesses and communities to begin to rebuild. But innovation is of most value when it narrows inequalities, not widens them. Together, we must build a healthier, safer, fairer world for everyone, everywhere. I thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Tedros. Now, remarks by Mr. Darren Tan, Director General of the World Intellectual Property Organization.
Your Excellency President Xi Jinping, Your Excellency Vice Premier Han Zheng, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, friends, greetings to you all. On the opening ceremony of the 3rd China International Import Expo, I would like to extend my warmest congratulations and express my most sincere appreciation for the invitation extended to me. Given that China is the world's second-largest economy and a major importer in the global market, the organization of the third CIIE is not only important to China, but also significant to the rest of the world. And also, I wish to pay tribute to the organizers for making this event possible during these exceptional circumstances. The third CIIE showcases China's remarkable achievements in its pandemic control and economic recovery. It also exemplifies China's determination to deepen reform and opening up, and the significant number of foreign entrepreneurs and enterprises taking part reflects how much they value the Chinese market. The third CIIE contributes to China's innovation-driven development. It also provides channels for China to learn from the most advanced and innovative technologies, which will promote the industrial upgrading and boost business growth. Ladies and gentlemen, friends, WIPO noted with appreciation the recent development and progress regarding China's endeavors in protecting IP and promoting innovation. Among others, I would like to highlight the following. First, according to the Global Innovation Index, GII 2020, China retains its 14th place, establishing itself as an innovation leader, as the only middle-income economy in the GII top 30 for many years. And China hosts 17 of the top science and technology clusters worldwide, with Shenzhen, Hong Kong, Guangzhou, and Beijing in the second and the fourth place respectively. Second, Chinese national filings on industrial design is ranking top of the world over the years. The recent adoption of the Fourth Amendment to the patent law will pave the way to China's accession to the Hague system. Third, internal procedures are undertaken regarding China's ratification of the Marrakesh Treaty. Fourth, China has outlined its blueprint for higher quality growth with deeper reform and wider opening up measures to further turn Shenzhen into a hub of innovation, entrepreneurship, and creativity with regional and global influence, and to set up Beijing Pilot Free Trade Zone, which enables foreign arbitration institutions to provide services. Fifth, China became the top source of international patent applications via the PCT system in 2019 and is likely to remain the biggest user of the PCT system in 2020, as the China National Intellectual Property Administration received a total of 29,500 PCT applications in the first half of this year, with a year-on-year increase of 22.6%. Sixth, since 2018, China has been the third largest user of the WIPO Madrid system for the international registration of marks. Ladies and gentlemen, friends, WIPO believes that the architecture that has been put in place to promote innovation and protect IP by the government of China, together with the vibrancy of the Chinese people and enterprises, have contributed to China's spectacular innovation performance and IP ecosystem development. WIPO sees great future in China's national strategy of innovation-driven development and remains committed to the cooperation with China in the area of IP. In particular, I would like to mention that WIPO is also contributing to the third CIIE by co-organizing the third International Cooperation Forum on the fight against IPR infringement and counterfeiting during the third CIIE, together with the State Administration for Market Regulation of China. As a leading agency dedicated to IP protection, WIPO will work towards the construction of an inclusive, balanced, vibrant and forward-looking global IP ecosystem that will better serve the interests of all countries and stakeholders in the world. With that, I wish the third CIIE a great success. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Darrington. Now I invite Mr. Yi Xiaojun, Deputy Director General of the World Trade Organization, to deliver remarks.
Your Excellency President Xi Jinping, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it is an honor to address the China International Import Expo on behalf of the World Trade Organization. This event continues to be a sign of China's commitment to integration with the global economy. I thank President Xi for his leadership in organizing the CIIE, now in its third edition. Since the last Expo in November 2019, the world has endured a health, economic, and social crisis on a scale that few of us could have imagined a year ago. The COVID-19 pandemic has brought unprecedented disruption to the global economy and to world trade. Global economic output is set to shrink by 4.4% in 2020, the worst drop since 1945. And while the outlook for trade has improved over the past few months, our economists estimate that the volume of global merchandise trade will still shrink by 9%, in line with 2009, at the depth of the financial crisis. As of the second quarter, global services trade was down 30% year on year. To recover from this economic downturn, we will need trade more than ever. Trade is a critical driver of the higher productivity and comes with increased competition, specialization, and scale. Imports have long meant more choice and lower prices for consumers. Today, they also represent access to medical supplies and equipment that can save the lives of millions. Even before the pandemic, rising trade tensions and restrictions were creating uncertainty around investment decisions. We cannot afford to let this continue. The optimal way forward is for countries to work together. No country is self-reliant for key medical supplies. Only cooperation can help us achieve a strong, sustained, and inclusive recovery from the economic slump induced by the pandemic. Clear rules for international business activity would help us break the vicious circle of uncertainty, underinvestment, and slow growth. All economies, big or small, must be part of the solution, engaging at international institutions such as the World Trade Organization. The alternative to cooperation is a weaker recovery, or worse, a prolonged slump. This third edition of CIIE demonstrates China's continuing intent and effort to strengthen global cooperation through import promotion, creating opportunities for businesses and consumers in China and around the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Yi Xiaozhun. I now invite Vice Premier Hu Chunhua to moderate the rest of the opening ceremony. I thank all the leaders and heads of international organizations for their enlightening remarks. Their deep insights and constructive proposals on jointly tackling the challenge of COVID-19 and advancing international economic cooperation and deepening economic globalization will surely inspire lively discussions at the Hongqiao International Economic Forum and contribute to the mutually beneficial cooperation among all countries. Now I invite Vice Premier Han Zheng of the State Council of the People's Republic of China to declare open the 3rd China International Import Expo. I now declare the 3rd China International Import Expo open.
第3届中国国际进口博览会开幕式到此结束，感谢各位领导人和线上线下各位嘉宾的热情参与。让我们欢送韩正副总理、李强书记、胡春华副总理和其他贵宾。